Well, hello everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Um, I'm alone without my sister, and today I'm talking to a revisitor to our website, to our channel, Todd Atkinson. He was on a couple months ago, talking about some tough things for him. He was me too'd, I guess, by the church he was involved in, the movement. You can go and listen to that one and get the story there. But yeah, we decided to reconnect again and just talk about a lot of things. But I think what we're really wanted to kind of zero in on is this desire to be a hero, especially as a man. I can't speak for women because I'm not one, but I know that there's something that burns inside me and a lot of men I know, is this deep desire to be something great, in inverted commas, in quotes, air quotes, if you're not watching this. And this strange fascination with that greatness being something potentially famous or big, and it's a strange weakness in the human condition. I think this craving for fame and fortune, and we just talked about how greatness can look different than that. You know, maybe just being a dad, but there's still something that just kind of burns away, that you in a man that just wants to do something big with their lives, and just kind of coming to terms with that, and also realizing that sometimes it might not happen, and we have to find the beauty in other things. So anyway, without talking about the whole podcast I just had, I'll let you get into it, but I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel. I know there's very few subscriptions, lots of listeners, but not many subscribers. So just hit subscribe and like it and share it with your friends, and we appreciate you being here and supporting. It's a fun journey so far. All right, let's get into it. Todd, welcome back. It's good to have someone back on the podcast.
Am I the first one to be on here twice?
No, actually, I think Rick Leaf was the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
How have you been?
Good, thanks, Jovi.
Yeah.
It's actually genuinely good, and it's really nice to see you again.
Yeah. How have you been since the last podcast? It was, a tough one to get through, right?
My wife calls it what does she call it? A steady rebuild. I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
Just I wouldn't say any hasn't sprung back in a single leap and bound, but it has. My wife, she's sharp, she's smart and perceptive, and I think her description of it is is accurate. But it is that it's steady, it's steadily heading in a positive direction. There is a rebuilding, not the opposite. So that feels very positive.
Yeah, and it felt like from that discussion, it springboarded into some old rekindled friendships, or people from the past wanted to connect, and
and that was just pure joy.
Yeah.
My goodness. Even some of the people that I mentioned on the podcast, people that I had remembered fondly, reached out to me. One I got to have a very pleasant conversation on the telephone with, and another couple I got to see in person when I was in Victoria, and my goodness, that was simply lovely.
Yeah, it's healing, right? I think that sometimes, I know for myself, I can build up in my head what someone might think of me, and then you talk and it's like, yeah, that was all fake. People are genuinely a lot kinder than we think.
Yes, a lot of them are.
Yeah.
And the ones who reached out to me, and it was just nice. It was just some special memories, and to be able to connect with them now and see what they're doing, and it was just such a gift to me.
Yeah.
So thank you, and your podcast helped make that possible, that reconnection, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it was an honor to walk that through with you, and I'm glad it did some positive.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So we were chatting back and forth about like, I guess where I come from, in my head, it's like, oh, we'll just hit record and see what happens. Todd, I reached out to you, Todd. And it's like, hey, let's do another podcast. Well, what do you want to talk about? Oh, I don't know. Just hit record, see what happens. And then we left it. And then it was like a couple months later, let's do a podcast. Well, what do you want to talk about? And I guess some people don't like the element of surprise. And so I think what we were gonna discuss, and it's something that I've wrestled with and wondered a lot about, is how we square man's desire. When I talk about man, I mean a male person, because I'm not a female, and I know that males have testosterone and this desire for greatness and to leave a mark in the world. With the seeming mundaneness of everyday life.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's a great topic. No, it is, I think, because trying to think where to jump into that, except that did I always do people a service? Meaning, I think back to my younger self, 2021, doing youth conferences, and maybe telling them not something that's untrue. You could do great things. To use your phrase, you could leave a great mark on the world. Those are not untrue things. I think, though, as you get older, that there's a key word there gets more definition around it, more nuance, which is the word greatness.
Yeah.
I think that at that point, maybe what I had envisioned as greatness or doing great things, as I've got older, I'm not sure the things that I thought were really great were necessarily the things I want now in terms of, or, what do we mean by greatness? Meaning something very public? Is that what we mean? Something that everybody notices? If we're not careful, if that's what we mean, then we're trying to turn our listeners into minor celebrities. We're kind of is that what we're trying to hold up before them? Is the goal is you could do something great, meaning something everybody would notice and applaud you for?
Well, I think that my perception of, actually, before we go any further, Todd, I think you need to blow your nose.
Thank you. That's very.
I'm just gonna be honest, because it will come out in the recording, and then the whole time we be talking, I'll be like, I should tell him that. So I just ballsed up and told you.
Thanks. That you really did, and I appreciate it.
I remember, this is a bit of a digression, but I remember when I saw you, you wearing a 3-piece suit and look like Sherlock Holmes, and then you did the ultimate British thing, is you pulled out a hanky. Which,
I still have a good cotton handkerchief.
Yeah, which is like so. And then after COVID, I'm like, I look back, I think, wow, we used to do that. Just blow your nose in the same piece of rag over and over and over. And Canadians just probably looked at that like, what the heck is he doing?
But at least we had something to blow your nose into.
It. Yeah.
And it was soft, and it got softer with wear.
And it's good for the environment. You just washed it and reused it.
Yeah. And they folded up into a square, which means, anyways, there was creative ways to use it more than once without doubling back on your steps.
I have my dad's hanky still. Like I have his belt and I have his hanky. Because he'd always pull it out of his pocket and do this, like flip it.
Oh, right.
And then give the germs to everybody, and then blow his nose.
I see. So he didn't square his. He liked a free-flowing hanky.
My dad was a blue-collar builder and pastor.
Yeah.
But he wasn't fancy. He would sound like a foghorn. So it'd be in the middle of preaching, he would just bring it out and just blow his nose, and it would sound like a foghorn. And it was pretty normal. Anyway, so back to the topic. My perception, or the way I absorbed what was being, because you were talking about, I was reminded of that statement that was recorded on a CD of you saying you could go anywhere, you could be anything.
Which
is there for life, right?
That is a good memory.
Yeah. And it was a piece of your preaching, and they cut it out and they put it in there. And that did mean in my head, greatness was on a platform. Greatness was being written about. Heroes being, stories being told about you.
Mhm.
Um, and as I've gotten older, it's been like this, like, what? Like, I feel like there's been a lot of people that feel extremely let down
Mhm.
by the hope of
Yeah.
this thing that we were
Yeah.
all striving towards. And I don't think it's only in the church. I mean, that was just the experience you and I had, but there's that hope, and then dealing with the letdown is very difficult.
Yeah.
Um, and it becomes a struggle to just do your everyday 9 to 5, work in a coffee shop, come home, make dinner, put the
Yeah.
kids to bed. This feeling of worthlessness. And I don't know about you, but I feel like in a man is this testosterone element is
Mm.
something that definitely sets us apart from the estrogen in a woman. I told, when I see these old Second World War movies and all of
Yeah.
these soldiers are in the trenches and there's bullets flying overhead and they're talking amongst themselves, like, and then it's like go time. And they go over that trench and they walk in and they just run. And there's this, like, something in a man that switches, and it's like all reason goes out the window. And it's like, you're in it, you're in, let's go. And all memory of home and family and your wife and your children and all the disaster that you could leave behind you seems to go away when you're faced with this kind of, like, this point. And I think if you were to replace all those men with women and the general said, get up over there and run into the gunfire, they'd have a little powwow and they'd be like, oh, I don't think it's a good idea. No, we're not into it and we're going back. And do you know what I mean? I feel like there's something in a man, for good or for bad. I think it can be good when you're trying to keep a bear from coming into the cave and taking your kids. I mean, it's good luck surviving that fight, but you still run into the fight.
Mhm.
Um, and so I feel like society taps into that, and in church it was tapped into that thing that um that switch was switched on. And then what I've seen is, how do you equal when you don't amount to something that we all seem to call great?
Yeah, so I think for me, I don't know when the transition happened. At some point, I began to see greatness in smaller and smaller things. The things I've enjoyed, certainly, in life is I really, really love being a dad. And, the amount of times you're going to chase off the bear out of the cave, to use your metaphor, is happens, occasionally, chase off a threat.
Hmm.
But it's the little things every day that grew to mean so much to me. And I think I began to see greatness in them, in being there in key moments, in the mornings to help my kids start their day, and being there at the end of the day, um, being there when they're hurting and confused. And um, I don't know that when I became a father, it just opened up some part of life for me that had been closed to it, because you're dealing with a little person.
Mm,
Not to, you're wanting to do big things in life, and now I'm having to readjust to a little person.
mm,
And somehow that adjustment, I always said that my daughter, when she came along, she did me probably more good than I ever did her. I hope I've done her a lot of good, but she would say I have.
mhm,
Just so much change happened in me. I think I began to shift from being goal orientated to more people orientated
mm.
through her influence. Not like that doesn't take a long time, and I'll spend my whole life maybe going further and further. But yeah, it seemed like a truly great thing to hold a child in your arms, and it's not on a stage, and no one's going to ever write a book about it. To comfort her when she was crying and had colic.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I've got a memory that came up this week in my journals, where I was coming home. I was at university in England, and I was a married student, and maybe Cecilia was one at the time. And so Sherry saw me coming down the path back to the house. So she said, Papa's home. They call me Papa. And she squealed so loud I could hear her on the path. And I still remember thinking, well, people think that what I'm doing, like at this kind of prestigious university, or this degree, that somehow this matters, but that suddenly mattered to me more than anything else I was doing.
Mm.
is,
Genuinely.
yeah, it really reorientated, reconfigured something inside of me.
Mm.
Um, and so I think it was maybe just the beginning of a
Mm.
series of things that began to redefine greatness,
Mhm.
or what is great, or maybe other, what's worthwhile, what does leaving your mark look like, and so I wanted to leave my mark on my kids
Mm.
for them to feel really loved,
Mm.
and felt like there's nothing more important in this world that I would have, that I could do than be there for them, and they would know that about me. Yeah, so I think there was lots of things along the way, but the redefining of greatness.
Right. I know for myself, if I'm honest, I mean, I think that being a father or a mother, it for sure changes your life in a massive way. I talk to some new moms that are just expecting, and there's a couple in my life right now, and the couple that worked for me, and they
Yeah,
said, I'm gonna have a baby, and then I'll probably need 3 or 4 months to, and then I'll be back to work. I looked at them and said, "No, you won't." And they said, "Oh yeah, no, I'll be back to work. It won't. It won't." I'm like, there is a switch that goes on when that thing comes out of you, and it will change everything that you are. Right, a lot. You will change in
yeah,
such a visceral way, and it won't happen until you see that baby. And when you
yeah,
see that baby, life will never be the same again.
yeah.
And sure enough, they didn't come back after 4 months. They're still not
Right.
back, you know? Like, I wanna spend every minute with this baby, and, your priorities shift.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I feel as the first thing it presses on as a father is the selfish button, because you
Yeah.
suddenly realize your time isn't your own anymore. You
Yeah. That's
cannot
true.
do what you wanna do. You can't sleep in on Saturday morning. You can't, eh, you know,
Yeah.
and it deals with that selfish
Yeah.
side, which I think is a beautiful breaking for someone, for anyone who hasn't had kids. I'm like, you're missing out on a lot of pain, but a lot of growth, right?
A
Like,
lot of growing up,
yeah.
having to. I always think when same thing. I saw my daughter then uh, have her daughter.
Mm.
My daughter became a mom, and so now she's living for someone else. And but I saw the best version of her come forth.
Yeah.
Sorry, here I'm talking about being a dad. My son's phoning.
Oh no, go ahead if you need
Sorry.
to. I can
Hey,
edit it.
son, everything okay? Oh, no, I didn't pick. Am I picking her up today or are you? Okay, if you're not going to be home, okay, then I will go and pick her up from the bus station. Okay, I'll make it work. You betcha. Okay, bye bye.
Your time is not your own.
What we may just have to pause it for just a few minutes.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Joby. As an undertopic of greatness, boy, it needs a lot of definition around that, because sometimes, yeah, in our day, it seemed like where the action was happening was on a stage.
Yes.
And so if you're doing something great, it's got to be on a stage and public and maybe recordable, finding its
Mhm.
way onto a podcast or onto an album or that time a CD. But yeah, for me, life has went a different direction. I think even when I was on the stages, I didn't think that was the greatest thing that was happening.
Now, was that based on principle, or was that actually the feeling inside of you?
You know, I think I got to remember it's going back, but I was a pretty reluctant public figure, not out of principle. I'm an introvert.
Mhm.
I never set out to become a public figure, and that's nothing wrong with people that do want that. Um, it's just not what I wanted or what I wanted to preach.
Mhm.
But I wasn't looking to and when I'm preaching, what it feels like inside of me, instead of me speaking in front of a bunch of people, I feel like the focus is on me. I feel like I'm speaking about this. We're looking at this together, this scripture. We're talking about Jesus. So I feel like more like people around a family table looking at the same thing. Even though that seems ridiculous to me, of course the focus is on you, Todd. You were doing the speaking, but but something in my head felt very different. Like if someone said, "Come and speak about something else," or I'd be
Mm.
like, I could feel like it felt different. I felt very awkward. Or if some, even in my early many years, if I did a wedding or a funeral or any of those, oh man, it felt hard because
But
it had a different feel to it. But so I don't know if that answers the question, except that
well, I think it's natural to your art. Like if you were to tell um, a rock singer to go and do a live theatrical performance, they get really, really nervous. And the same with an actor to go and sing in front of a live studio, a live audience, they get really nervous because they're outside of their wheelhouse of where they, feel comfortable. So I think that, yeah, your wheelhouse was the Bible and the teachings of the Bible. But when you're on stage and you're speaking to 2 or 3,000 people and they're just,
yeah,
every word that comes out, they're just hanging on it. Now, out of principle, I don't know if principle is the right word, but being a father is a higher calling. But the feeling you get inside, the electric feeling, did you not have that? I mean, I've performed on stage for a couple of thousand people when I have my band, and I still say to this day, I have never felt that kind of magic. And it wasn't because of the adulation. It was this, well, I think that's a drug. That's why the Rolling Stones are still doing it. I
yeah,
think that nothing can, it's like this connection with all of these people is that you hit this point when everything's going right. And I've seen when you speak, sometimes you could speak to a dead audience, right? That just aren't
yeah,
picking up what you're putting down. But then
yeah,
sometimes you speak to people and they're, and you probably, as a preacher, you probably feel that. And I know I felt that, and I miss that. Like it's not from my perspective, for me, it's not a narcissistic, like, oh, you're only happy when you're in front of people getting praise.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
no, it's like this this piece of art is happening, and it's hard to
yeah.
put words to it. It's magic. It's like,
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you put it that way because I don't want to make people that like being in public and are energized by it. I do not want to make that a bad thing at all. You can't say to people, "Hey, be the best version of yourself," unless it's that.
yeah.
Um, I'm just saying that for me, and it's going back some time, trying to remember. There was definitely moments that they felt electric. Um, I think it's what God was doing at that time. Partially, it's that made it electric for me. And I would say maybe I look back at a certain aspect of it with some regret, which is as that elevated me, I didn't expect that. And as it did, my regret is where I began to feed off that a little too much.
Mm,
That's different than someone being them full, being on a stage, loving it.
mm.
I think.
I have a hard
Yeah.
time with when I left the church and went into secular music, I was singing a lot of times about my relationship with my struggles with the church and God and all of that, but people might have thought I was singing a love song.
Yeah.
It was up to them. But what was a huge relief for me was that the burden of I'll give you an example. I was leading worship one time at Calvary Temple, and I was trying to come out of my comfort. There was something that was like calling to me, as far as like I was desperate to break free from the way I had normally been, and
Yeah.
so I started exploring different types of fashion.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and it was really hard. It was not easy for me because I could tell people were looking. There's something when you start to change the way you look, people like kind of pointing at you. It's
Yeah.
this crab in the bucket type of thing. Like, who do you think you are? That's not really you. But what was happening in me, and I didn't really know what was happening because I couldn't quite understand it. But I was just desperate to turn things over
Yeah.
and find a new thing. Like, just get out of the rut. And I remember, Nolan got up on stage and threw a jacket over my amplifier, said it was too loud. You got to sing songs that everybody knows. You're bringing too much attention. This is not all in the same
Mm,
breath, but like you're bringing attention to yourself. And it was so confusing because you're
yeah.
asking someone to go on stage as soon as you started to feel good about what you were doing, like
Right.
started to rock out. It's like,
Yeah.
I like this riff. you had to divert it to God,
Yeah.
and because God forbid you start bringing attention to yourself
All
and
right.
start to actually bask in that, like just the enjoyment of the whole thing. And when I went and started playing music in bars, I could have got up there and stripped naked. I had an hour to do what I wanted. People could have walked out or they could have stayed.
Yeah.
And no one came up and said, "Hey, I great music and all that, but I think you're just drawing too much attention to yourself." There
Yeah.
wasn't,
Right.
and I found it, and I still see it to this day, so confusing for folks,
Yeah.
because the call is to divert all the attention upwards, and I don't know, I just think that's a tall order. And it muddies the waters, and then when someone does start to dip into rocking out a bit or becoming
Yeah.
a bit more of a band instead of a worship band, where you have to, like I found worship songs like nursery rhymes almost. They were so simple. There was no sophistication. Had to be
Yeah.
able to sing along easily. Um, and looking at it from the outside in now, I just find I don't want to get down that rabbit hole too far, but there is
I've
that
heard that
thing like
from.
what you were saying about being on stage and feeling electric, but then there's immediately this like this chastisement that I feel is like it got to me, and then because I wasn't pointing it up, and I have a hard time squaring all of that.
No,
Like,
that's good. I think that's a fair comment, and I think it's a little different than maybe what a worship leader would experience, possibly, but possibly not. I did enjoy it. I'm just saying it was unexpected. The first time I spoke at Avalanche, I thought they are not going to like me.
yeah,
I'm like I'm going to speak about. I was in a time of personal suffering, and I'm going to speak about the cross. And there's nothing about this event that says suffering or cross on it.
Mm.
All I got to do is give what I got to give.
Mm.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. Every insecurity in me is being pushed. And those youth, I don't know what happened. They did listen, and that's someone ran and got across. And anyway, somehow it resonated with people
Mm.
in a way that I never could have expected. That felt good, and I'm not decrying that. That felt good, and it felt like something important was happening in people's lives. Yeah, that there was something to take home, or something was happening, and then that they would remember, think about.
I mean, I guess it's that's the cross of doing God work. I guess that's why monks, try to make themselves, shave their head and live because the whole description of your job is to point upwards.
Yeah,
And I see that too. Like that is, but I also see that all of the mess seems to come out of people that let it get to their head.
yeah.
People. I mean, I just heard today that Mike Bickle got stripped of all of his everything because of something going on in his, and you think, well, the bar was set so high for you that you had to do this stuff in secret.
Yeah.
Maybe you couldn't even share your vulnerabilities. And so secretly you were doing this stuff, and then you got found out, and now it's this massive, yeah, no, it's pretty ugly. I mean, he did the House of Prayer, right? And he's been stepped down from that because of what they found. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but it is something that I've always struggled with. Well, I don't know if struggled is the right word. I've observed it. And that's why I just love playing in clubs, because I could sing a worship song if I wanted. I could sound on my head. I could do whatever I want. It's like, you got the stage for an hour, do what you want.
Right.
And the judgment wasn't there. And I found in religious settings, there was a lot of, you were scrutinized. And I feel for fallible human beings, it's a very confusing place to be, especially if you're a really good artist.
Yeah.
Or a good speaker, or a good, it's a tightrope walk. And,
yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. So when you watch a movie like Braveheart, Gladiator, any of these types of movies, what does it do to you?
Oh man. What a great question. I think I'm still, so I'll tell you, I think probably since the time I was little, if I watched a movie, any of those movies, for me, I think the movie that kind of had the biggest effect on me, I was probably 9 or 10. That was the first Star Wars movie that came out.
Yep.
And I mean, its plot is about this guy that lives in the middle of nowhere, in the kind of backside of an uninteresting moon. And all of a sudden, he's caught up into this kind of big adventure. And so when I came out at 9 or 10, I came out and the world felt different. And I think it woke something up or put something in me that like, oh, I'm a kid from the Canadian prairies who I guess feels like that I live on an acreage. I don't have any
Yep.
friends. I live in a pretty isolated place. And so then I think when I became a Christian, I think I took that with me into my faith, that kind of heroism, that hey, I could be a hero. I could just be a spiritual hero or a hero for Christ or something. But there's no doubt those movies and that effect on me, I think they've had a very large effect on me. I can't tell. I think this is the part of me that's still in flux, which is, did they have too much of an effect on me? Did the hero motif?
Mm.
Someone told me a number of years ago, Todd, you are a rescuer, and it's getting you in trouble. True, I'm sure, but he never helped me understand there's still some good in that in you. So I think any inclination toward heroism, I think I probably just tried to extinguish it in myself.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, really.
Oh,
Maybe I didn't come up with it the right way. But
that's okay. I'm
that
glad we stumbled
struggle,
upon it.
that struggle that you've just explained is a struggle that I have. I think it's in most masculine men, and I can't speak for women. Like I'm not segregating them from not feeling these feelings, but I can watch, like my son, he can't watch anything too intense because he won't go to sleep. So we watch documentaries on sports, and right now we're watching one on NASCAR. I mean, it's not super interesting, going round and around and around in an oval, but there's still a champion story.
Yeah.
And those guys that do it, I mean, when they win, and I feel like this sounds really crazy to me. It's probably to a lot of people, but Indy 500, which was the Formula One type of racing, came to Vancouver. And I went down with Raven, who was a little kid then, and I went on the SkyTrain, and I stepped off the SkyTrain, and those race cars, which were like V12 turbocharged, raced past. I didn't even see them. I heard them go past, and I started to cry, not weep.
Yeah.
Tears coming out, like, whoa, like, that feeling probably when God touches you, that feeling of almost levitation, like your whole body is tingling. And I couldn't tell anyone that for a long, I know that I felt it. I'm like, what is that? Because I guarantee if my wife was standing beside me, she'd just been like, oh my God, the noise is awful, and not felt those feelings. But it was this power, this like, and the same thing when I watch someone like the movie Rocky was probably what Star Wars was for you. For me, I watched Rocky 1, and it consumed my thoughts for years, I swear.
Really?
I didn't know if I wanted to be a boxer. I just that story of someone coming from nothing to something. This story of the hero's journey.
Yep.
And that kind of, so yeah, I'm with you in, it sounds like you're still trying to figure that out. Like, how do we square living? I don't know. Yeah. I think there's something real there that a lot of people feel. And I feel, I often feel like I was born in the wrong era. Like I was born to stand on the battle line. It was black and white, good and evil. Now, if I was standing in the battlefield and it was freezing cold and I had a sword and there was a whole bunch of nutcases standing in front of me, I'd have probably, it's a romantic idea.
Yeah.
But I know the way I'm built. I come alive when it's when there's good and evil, when there's black and there's white, when there's like I'm out on my boat, the engine breaks down, I don't have a radio, don't have a phone, and I got to get back to shore. And this has happened to me many times. I just light up. because now there's a reason to live.
Yeah.
But I've also been with men who just break into tears. They don't
Yeah.
light up.
Yeah. 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 This part of me, I'm still figuring out, Joby. Again, I think I needed that when I was younger. That I think it was pretty connected to hope, like hope that I could be something more than I was at that time.
Mhm.
And then I think I probably, yeah, and then got a little maybe excessive, or with it, or try to be too many people's hero, try to get too deep, and give too much, and so that backfired, and I still haven't maybe swung back to a happy medium. I think I'm still a little bit raw and a bit bruised from that. And but where I'd like to end up is know that the way that I made isn't, is good. It just, of course, it has to be tempered,
Mhm.
and has to be, you know, done in a kind of balanced way. And um but I guess I'll let you know when I get there.
Yeah. I mean, I can see from the outside looking in to your situation that had that been, I don't know the ins and outs of what that happened, right? But had that been maybe in the secular setting, I don't know if you'd be in the same position you are now if you didn't do the things that people online are saying that you did, right?
Yeah.
So I feel that again is that there's that you have a fight that's over and above your regular dude's fight, which
Yeah.
is like, I drew too much attention to myself. I did too much. I gave too much. In the world, that's like, I don't think that's a thing.
It is true, which is
In
why
the world, you
which
know
is
what
why
I mean?
which is why I was never in a civil trial. I wasn't in a secular court. I
Yeah.
didn't do that kind of thing. In a church world, they said if you go have coffee with the wrong person in public, it could look reproachable. Like it could look bad. It could look like you're up to something, and they didn't. So of course my response, which I was never really allowed to give, is no. That's why I met in a coffee shop.
In a
I
public
put
place.
myself in a fishbowl, so nobody would think the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways, I think you have a point.
I'm not saying that you should leave your beliefs, and not that you would for me, or I'm not, I mean, I'm not in the slightest. I'm just observing this extra struggle that is
Yeah.
on top of just the regular struggle of, look, I thought that I was going to be something great and I'm not. Coming from your side, it's like, I wanted to be something great. And then and then when I started to get there, I got stripped down, or, I mean, it's an extra piece.
Yeah. 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 I think when you're in this particular age, I think people don't know how to always express discontent in a moderate way. Like instead of, hey, here's some things we'd like you to learn, it's more like you are just it's expressed in a way that is, it's
Mhm.
interesting. Yes, I got out of balance,
Mhm.
but so were the allegations.
Yeah.
They lose any sense of like balance or credit, or they just seem to want to destroy somebody. Anyways, that's not what this podcast is about. But let's just say, no, let's say it, maybe it is. How do you ever take the risk to truly make a difference in the world when what's hanging over you is if you get it wrong, that's it, you get one shot.
Yeah.
And if anybody just, so who's going to do it? If you're like, no, whether it's in my case, driven by faith reasons, or someone else's case driven by something else, if the stakes are that high,
Who's
you
gonna do
go
it?
and try to do this. And the hero stories that we love they're not like that. Those guys they're full of mistakes. They don't get it perfect. They make big mistakes, and that's kind of woven into the story, whether it's Star Wars or Rocky, or how that part of what they had to rise above was their own selves, their own shortcomings, their own mistakes, and to realize that isn't the end of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe for me, the most heroic thing I could do is to say, I'm not going to let that be the final word over my life.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's the most heroic thing I could do right now.
I think so.
And not only that, and come alongside other people. And same thing, I want to be the guy that's there and say, this is not the final word over your life. Come on, let's together find a way back for you, because I detest this idea. You get it wrong and we'll demolish you and you'll never amount to anything. And I don't think it's a good message, that.
Slightly. I mean, I think you've had a taste of what famous people, Hollywood stars, feel like. That's why they build walls around their homes, literal walls.
Yeah.
And they don't go out in public because the media just takes anything that you do in public that's slightly different than whatever, and creates a story out of it, and can potentially crush your life. And no wonder those guys hide and go to like secluded islands for their holidays and build big walls around their houses, because they've tasted that, probably, that things are misconstrued. Yeah, I mean, it from what you've been through, it seems like
I'm not
system is going to do it.
And I'm not trying to portray myself. I'm not a victim. I'm not wanting to. That's not my story, or my narrative that I'm holding to. But man, do I want to come alongside other people who feel like whether you sinned or you're sinned against, or both, to help get up out of the dirt and say you still have immense worth, to help restore people's sense of dignity. So I came across, my wife sent me this video, little short video, maybe it's 30 seconds. I'm not on social media, but she hangs out there quite a bit. And anytime she thinks that is a good thing for me to hear, she sends to me.
Got it.
And I listen to some of them.
You've got a social media curator.
Yeah, that's true. But she sent me this one of a woman who's probably popular on Instagram, and she just talks about when she was maybe an older teenager, she really blew it, and she can see her father making his way to her, and he looks upset, and she thinks, I am really going to get it, and because he looks like he has a lot of emotion, and she says about that he did, but he had actually a different emotion than she expected. He spoke to her and said to her, honey, shame is the most worthless emotion in the human spectrum of emotions, and he explained why. So that's what he did as a dad. He saw that she'd failed. Instead of shaming her and thinking that was a solution, he protected her from shame, shielded her from shame, and then gave her an alternative. Honey, instead, deal with it this way. And gave her this alternative. This is a better way than shame. This will make you a better person. Shame won't. Shame will never make someone a better person. And gave her another way to do that. And I can see why my wife sent it to me, because I've been shamed. And the people in my life that I guess were fathers or influential or leaders, again, I didn't do what the father in the video did. And so I don't know where people turn to. I know that not everybody listening to this is coming from a place of faith, and I respect that. But for me, I would say God is, for me, the father in that video who's saying, shame, Todd, shame is not a good thing. I'd like to shield you from shame. Let's deal with it this way instead. And and so he helps her to know, when you take responsibility for something and said, I wonder how I let that sneak up on me. Then you don't have to be ashamed of it. And
it's humans that want to make you pay with your
and I would like to do that. I want to help people say, hey, what could you learn? Like, where did that thing slap you in the face? How did you not see that coming? How did you, so that the person goes, I get it now. I get what happened, and I've learned from it, and I'm a better person now. Instead of shrinking through shame, I'm rising, ready for the next chapter and more prepared and equipped for it. Man, I'd like to see a world where that happens.
Do you think shame and victimhood are one and the same?
Oh, yikes. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think I don't think I know that our children are being, I mean, social media, or I don't know if it's social media, it probably is social media, let's face it. But I mean, victim mentality, the being a victim is so rampant right now in our world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And it seems to give people an excuse, because as far as I can understand, shame is like, I'm a fill in the blank, I'll always be a fill in the blank. And so I'm just gonna go and do the bad thing because I'm just a fill in the blank.
Right.
And you just live in the mud. I'm
So
a
I
hippo. I like mud.
right.
That's just who I am. And victimhood seems to be this huge crutch and excuse. Whereas what you're saying is, no, I did do something wrong. It was wrong. I need to apologize to some people. How can I correct? But shame seems to be the anchor that's tied around our ankle and just takes us right to the bottom.
Oh yeah, I've been listening to Mumford and Sons. They have a song called "The Cave." Now, again, you can see how unacquainted I am with music, but because that's probably been out for 20 years, I discovered it in the last few months. But it said something like, I'm going to remove something about the shame around your neck or something, the noose around your neck. And I don't know who they're talking to, but someone had been shamed. And whether it's the church or society felt like they're going to hang that person out in public. And so the singer is saying, I'm going to help take that noose around your neck. So I think when you're shaming yourself, self-shame, or being shamed, you have lots of choices. And not all of them are healthy, but one of them is victimhood. Maybe that's the relationship to me, is you could choose that. But I want to say to people, it's not the only choice. And I think there's better choices. A dear friend here in Lethbridge is from Burkina Faso. His name is Daniel Zapula, and he's a really wonderful man. But I heard him speak last, and he's also a therapist. And he has this line that he says that if you think of yourself as a victim, it's only a matter of time till you will become the villain in someone else's story. And then he explained and gave some examples. It was a powerful talk.
What's some examples?
Well, he gave a talk about a woman who thought her husband was maybe having an affair. He wasn't, but she didn't believe him, so she followed him or had him followed for like 4 years, and in the end realized he's not. That's actually not doing it. But she had in life, we dub people a villain or a victim or a hero, or he was talking about those four, or a guide. He says every kind of big story has those four figures. So in her mind, she had dubbed him as the villain, her as the victim. But in the 4 years that she was preoccupied with this night and day, she neglected her children and wasn't there to care for them. So eventually her husband got tired of her accusing of this. The marriage fell apart, but the children then wanted nothing to do with her because she'd never been there. So when they tell their story, guess what they tell their story as? Guess who for them, guess who the mom's the villain.
Yeah.
Now, if the kids keep telling that story, it's only a matter of time till they'll be the villain in someone else's story. Wow, I think it's true. I think I've experienced it.
Yeah.
Is that, like, for example, in our culture, sometimes you think, well, this person did me wrong, and if we fixate on that wrong at the expense of everything else in that person's life, then we will destroy them, and we'll think we're doing a good thing. We'll call it that destruction justice. Okay. So then we actually feel heroic. We think we were the villain, now we're the hero, and we don't really realize we absolutely destroyed a person or destroyed a family. And so, though we're telling ourselves we're the hero, we've become the villain. A villain is someone who hurts people, and we never made to that family.
Tight, yeah, close lines with that specific story with justice. I mean, there's always going to be a loser when it comes to justice. But I understand the deeper thing is if you're fixated on taking someone down.
Depending on people's theory of justice. That's the thing. We sometimes we just use those words. We've really done not a lot of thinking about what justice really means. And so sometimes what we really want is vindication, or what we really want is vengeance, actually. But it's not cool to call it that. And maybe we're not even in touch enough with our own kind of emotions to know that that's what we want. So, but we call it justice because then it makes it feel like it's a righteous cause.
Yeah, I guess they're parallel. They're close to each other, right? There's a fine line. Yeah.
Well, again, I know not everybody listens to this is Christian, but the Christian view of justice, we would say this is cruciform. It's the shape of a cross. its own, has its own definition of justice. So here's an example. During the Truth and Reconciliation process that occurred in South Africa that addressed apartheid crimes in Africa, there would have been an Afrikaans man who killed this woman's son. So during the Truth and Reconciliation, they got a chance to speak, and this woman got a chance to speak and say what it was like to have her son die. And she's looking at the man that killed her son. So she has lots of options. Depends what justice looked like. In her case, she went and told that man, here's the punishment. You will be my son, and I will be your mother. And she embraced him. So she could have done more hurt and damage in the world. The man broke and wept. And there's a reason why that Truth and Reconciliation process that has taken place in many countries of the world, it has just got stories that they're kind of mind-blowing.
Forgiveness stories.
Yeah, there's like, yeah, because where vengeance could have prevailed, healing took place.
Yeah. I mean, the vengeance story is really tied up in the hero story as well, right? Like Gladiator. I mean, it's all...
Yes, true.
Yeah, I'll die for a good cause, but I'll leave my wife and family destitute. The cause is bigger than... But that, going back to this hero thing, I think that's the kind of crossroads that I find myself in there, because there is something in me that wants to die for a good cause.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like there's something in me that craves that one thing. I feel like I get agitated by just 9-to-5 life. And there's moments. I mean, I think that's why a man needs to work out and a man needs to exercise. I mean, that testosterone is a real thing. And maybe back in the day when we were on the plains of wherever, hunting, and we would kind of get all that piss and vinegar out of us by running after animals and building walls. And I mean, you'd be just exhausted. But we live kind of these sedentary lives. And I think that's a big part of it. Maybe it's just, we've got this energy inside us that needs to be got out.
Yeah. I work out at least 3-4 days a week. Any chance for me to be in the mountains. I spend a fair amount of time in the wilds. I love it, and I still want my life to count. I still want to do something significant with my life. I do. It'll never leave me. And I say that all future tense. What I'm doing now feels significant. What I mean is the service I'm rendering my family, and I got a few people here and there that I get to serve. I'm what's called a spiritual director. That's my vocation now. And I've got people all over North America I speak to each week, and watching the good that's happening in their lives is meaningful to me. And I think, so that's another, we're using it under kind of a hero motif, but kind of man's quest for meaning is another umbrella kind of topic, is that we want to have meaningful lives. And I want to see people have meaningful lives. And I still desire it myself.
Yeah. I mean, I see with my wife, she's a different type of person than me, and she finds so much meaning in just being a mother to the children,
Yeah.
like it's everything, and I love being a father as well, but there's another itch, there was this, I don't know if you watched the last Rocky movie. I don't know if it's the last one, but it was the one where he got in the ring one more time. And there's this amazing monologue between him and his son, who is pissed off at him that he's going to go fight because he's going to make an embarrassment of him. And you have to. I'll dig it up and send it to you, because
I think I might have seen it, but I don't have a strong recollection of it. But I think I might have seen it.
Well, and his son's just like, Dad, what? All my friends are laughing at me because you're a has-been. You're over the hill. Like, just don't do this. You're gonna embarrass me. Stallone says, Rocky, he's like, there's something in my basement that I gotta satisfy one more time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it makes me actually a little bit tingly saying that, I was like, I know that feeling. And
I would say to people that when you feel like that, pay attention. I would encourage people, when have something in life that makes you feel alive, or makes, in your case, it takes courage to pay attention to that. But I would encourage people to, even if they're not sure what it means. I wouldn't kill it, to not numb it and not kill it, because there will be a way for them. It's calling. There's, it's part of who they are. And I would encourage people to follow up on it. Even if it's like little breadcrumbs you follow, you're not sure where they're going to lead.
Well, I think if you don't acknowledge it and you don't focus on it and say, okay, this is a thing, you end up becoming the womanizer, the this or the that, because deep down, your knee-jerk reaction, you're just craving adventure.
Yes,
And
that's
so
right.
you find that adventure in dark places sometimes, and you don't know why you're doing it. You're just like, I heard this this podcaster I listened to, and he was talking about time, and he's like, how, and I've really this has really sat with me quite a bit, because I hate the feeling of time flying by. It's an awful feeling, especially when you get older, that, oh, that year just flew by, and you really want to just like slow it down, pump the brakes. And he said, your mind stops recording things that are repetitive because it doesn't need to record them. So if you have a hard drive, your mind is saying, okay, we don't need to clog up the hard drive with wake up in the morning, make a coffee, go to the gym, come home, do this, do that. So we don't need to record anymore. So when you recall your month or your year, and you've been doing repetitive things, you will feel like time has flown by.
Oh, wow.
Now, a minute's a minute's a minute, so you can't actually slow time down, but you can trick your mind into the feeling that time is moving slower. And he goes, the way to do that is to add more adventure and basically say yes to more things.
Yeah, right.
Have more experience.
Yes.
Because your brain, when it has a new experience, will start to record it out of necessity, because it's like, oh, we're going down a maze. We need to find our way back. I must record. This is a new experience. And so then when you recall your day, month, year, you'll be like, wow, I feel like I did a lot this year. And it's kind of, and I've been really inspired to kind of say yes to adventure more often, because I have a tendency to not want to upset my routine. And having adventure is actually quite difficult, because, say if you wanted to go on a hunting trip, you got to set the time aside. You got to get all your gear together. You got to, or go on, it's a lot of effort, but you'll never regret it when you come back, even if it was pouring rain the whole time.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
You will have made a memory.
Yeah. I think you're onto something, Joby. I think.
I mean, I'm regurgitating someone else's wisdom.
Well,
but
I
it's
think
sat
at
with
least
me.
the point is, start saying yes to more stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, like same thing. Every time I prepare, for the mountains, you got to prepare and have the right gear. But as you said, it's altogether worth it. And here's a question I've often asked myself, which is, for me, going to the mountains regularly, for me, I go to pray. Other people go for something else. I ask myself, is it a luxury or a necessity? The reason I ask myself is, if it's a luxury, then we often do away with luxuries in life. But what happens if for the sake of my soul, the health of me as a person, what happens if it falls under the necessity category? What happens if, even as a parent, my kids watching me engage in a more adventurous life is important to the kind of people they're becoming? So that's the way I've worded it. I mean, even years ago, 20 years ago, even as a pastor, I would take a day out of the week of the office, and I might have a prayer day, but I'd go pray in the Rocky Mountains right through the winter on snowshoes. And I was praying, I get ready for Sunday, but I could breathe. My soul could breathe. And anyways, I had to ask myself, if it's a luxury, then I'll keep canceling it. If it's a necessity, then I'll prioritize it. So what do you think? Luxury or necessity?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a good switch. And I think we need to trick our minds with those things. It's not really trickery, maybe, but you need to give yourself a license to take the day. My wife, I'll be like, I got to go to the gym, and she's she's like, go, because she knows that I'm a better man when I come home.
Oh yeah, she likes those muscles.
I don't know if it's the muscle. I think she likes that I'm not very muscular, but she likes that I'm calmer, because I've got that out of me.
Yeah. I used to work out most days of the week right before I came home, because at that point, my daughter was more grown, but then we had 10-year gap. My boys were little and they got to wrestle. But I was so tired after a day that, because more tired, like I'm counseling and working with people. And so having that buffer, I'd come home energized and ready to play instead of feeling like the weight of the world was on me.
Yeah.
But again, it was good for me, healthy for me, but I was a healthier dad, the more
Yeah.
self-care that I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important. I mean, I notice in the world that there's these two veins that are like, there's this demasculation that we've kind of been through where anything that was macho or manly was considered right wing,
Yeah.
misogynistic style, whatever. And then you've got the other side of things where the Andrew Tate type of message, which is you should have a Lamborghini by the time you're 30 and a hot wife, and she should stay home and have kids and cook for you, and so it's sometimes a difficult subject to talk about, this kind of testosterone thing, because you can quickly sway into one of those camps with other people's perceptions. That's one thing I really liked about that men's retreat that I was telling you about last time that I went on, because it really did acknowledge that, like, there's this carnal type of caveman, like, beat your chest, chop some firewood in all of us dudes that needs to come out. And it was funny because some of the guys that showed up at that were like, you could tell they were like computer programmers, but they had this warrior and then it just like came out and they were just like, and it was like, it was there.
Yeah.
In every single male that showed up on that island.
And if that's a very real part of them, then it needs to come out and not just be killed.
Yeah. But I think I see in a lot of, just in the world we live in, because we don't go out and hunt for our meat. We don't have to chop firewood. We don't have to slay the beast, as it were. That we've got a lot of pent up, confused men that don't quite know what this is that's going on in them. So I'm just feeling off. I'm feeling frazzled. I'm not feeling, and it's like, yeah, you weren't designed to just sit in a cubicle and program a computer all day long. Like there's something inside you,
I know that camp, it was really important to you. And similarly, I was asked to go speak at it's called Formidable Man's Camp, just 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like secular, or was it Christian?
Christian, yeah, I was there.
Christian camp.
Teaching people how to pray. And so a wonderful group of men. It was a really, it would have seemed pretty low key compared to the one you were at. We were fully clothed.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it was excellent. And one of the things I noticed that those men, that craved real, and so the language I use as a spiritual director, that, when God is active in your life and you're open to it, you'll have a greater connection to God, as he truly is. But you'll also have a greater connection to your own true self. You'll find who you are, and you'll also have a deep, authentic connection with people around you. And those are the three things I think we crave. I want a real connection to God, not a fake one.
Mm-hmm.
Like a real and meaningful and personal one. I want a real connect to my true self, and who is that true self. And I don't want to be alienated from my true self. I want to find that true self and be that. And I'd like to have some people in my life that I've got a real authentic connection. So those three connections, those three levels of connection are really important. And I watched that happen at that camp. All three of them were happening, in a kind of gradual, moving in a positive direction kind of way. And I watched men leave different than they came.
Yeah. Yeah. The camp I went to, they take a picture of you when you arrive, and they take a picture of you when you leave, a Polaroid, and then they give it to you in a folder when you leave. Yeah. And it's crazy to see your face like lit up. Like everyone's face looks so different.
Really?
After 3 days. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Joby, that's excellent.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
How would you describe the difference in your portrait?
I don't know. It was so transformative. And it was so, and I've been immersed in lots of spiritual type of settings. Like, when you're in a charismatic church, you're used to talking about feelings and all of this type of thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into words, really. It was, we didn't eat. We were lots of, barely slept. So I'm sure that was on my face. We had a big feast at the end.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is when you go, you have to bring a dish and you present the dish when you show up and you're thinking in your head, I'm looking forward to eating this that I'm making. Well, all your food goes to feed the staff and
Oh,
you just eat peanuts.
for 3 days.
It was a couple of days. And at the end, they feed you, the staff serve you, wash your feet, as it were, serve you food. You can't do anything. They bring your knife and the fork and they do it and they say, would you like some water? And they completely serve you at the very end, a full feast.
And that was meaningful to you?
Yeah, I think it was, you know what, the thing that hit me the most was, and I think I maybe already shared this with you, I don't know, but leadership without ego was modeled to me. And it was so healing because I've come out of such a distorted leadership model.
Yeah, right.
And I was so triggered by any organized anything.
Yes, I know.
Anything organized. You sit in a circle talking, oh, I want out.
Yeah.
And so I allowed myself to go there and had the courage to stick through with it, and also seeing the humility in the men. Like when we had the sexuality talk and everyone was naked.
Yeah.
I mean, people shared some seriously vulnerable things, but not only the guys that signed up to go, it was the staff shared their own like really vulnerable. So that's what was that again, that leadership thing was like when it was time to lead, they got up there and you had to respect them and they were very loud and very proud. And it was like powerful leadership. But then when they stepped back from their role for that night, they were right beside you, sharing their own, and so I think if there was one big takeaway from that, it was that for me, was like
humble leadership that wasn't driven by ego.
Yeah. Strong leadership, like unabashedly strong, like, demand, when I'm in this place doing what I'm supposed to do for this hour, you need to listen to me. Yeah. And if you don't, I'll call you out. Like it's not wimpy leadership. But then as soon as that's over, I just saw this humility. And also I could overhear people getting straightened out, like leaders who were, maybe it was their first time being in the camp. They would say something and then someone would whisper in their ear who was more senior. And the guy didn't crumble to ashes on the floor. It's like, I'm worthless. There wasn't this empower, like I'm bigger than you, I'm better than you. It's like, there was this different thing that was modeled to me where there wasn't a hierarchy. Or something.
Well, and even that, I guess, Joby, I come back to something which is pay attention to the things that move us. Because when you describe that, sounds like wasn't just part of your life to experience that, but it's probably speaking to the kind of man that you are and that you're becoming. And so for you to be who you're meant to be, and when you follow the things that move our heart, and we embrace that and step into that, then I think we are doing something in life that we feel is great. And we're not measuring greatness by anybody else's metrics. That and you're following your heart. This moved me. I saw this modeled. I'm going to become that kind of person. I think there's a happiness in that. And I think, I think there's something great about that.
Yeah.
For you to be able to do that. So I would accumulate all of these things that move you and inspire you, and I'd follow them, but and become them.
And I think purpose is sprinkled over all of it, right? As far as having for me anyway, purpose is massive, and I think it's fairly common. The feeling like what you're doing is purposeful, which is probably tied up with walking in what you're supposed to do in life.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was working with First Nations in Pakanchikam, Shamattawa, these reserves in the back end of nowhere, and I was walking around the reservation with 3 or 4 kids with no cameras following us or nothing, no one talking, no one documenting it. I felt 100% fulfilled because it felt purposeful. I mean, it wasn't changing the world at all.
It may have been the world of those 3 kids following you.
100%.
And see, and that's what I'm talking about, greatness. 3 kids that nobody else was walking with, and who knew that Joby didn't have to be there. In my work as a spiritual director, the amount of stories I hear about, when I was little, this person showed an interest in me, this teacher, this grandparent, this employer.
Mm.
And when you find out what they did, sometimes it was small. It was a facial expression. But literally marked them for life. And to me, that's seriously great. That story of you and those 3 kids, that seems pretty great to me.
So, I mean, I guess we should, yeah. So the challenge is when you're raising children surrounded by Hollywood and social media, where there's like influencers and people that seem great, but what they're actually doing is renting a private jet for a photo shoot or renting a Lamborghini for a photo shoot. And our kids and we're seeing it, I mean, my wife, she's like, she dips in and out of social media, but then she says, sometimes I go on there and I just feel crap about my life because everyone seems to be doing it better, but it is a veneer. It's not real.
No, it's not.
And I've often wondered why as human beings are we so enamored by fame? Like I've had an extremely colorful life. And if I was a celebrity, I would have had books, movies, I'd be on Oprah Winfrey, like recovered from all these accidents and had all these crazy things happen. But because I'm not famous, I don't really share my story. And it's like this strange, and I'm like, why when we, we line up at the grocery store and we see a magazine, and it shows Britney Spears, she picks up her own dog poop, and everyone's like, wow, I'll take that magazine. She's actually real. I mean, and I'm like, what's going on with this? I mean, has it been in history that we've always been like that? Like in the Roman times, they would have the gladiators and they were like their idols. And it's this almost a weak spot that we've been given to, or maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it motivates us. I don't know. But I'm like, what is it? Like if we took all our attention off of Hollywood for a year, the whole of humanity, I mean, it would just fall apart. The only reason it keeps going is because we keep worshiping them.
We keep feeding it. And I don't know, I think Theodore Roosevelt, he had something to say when he just said comparison is the thief of joy. I still find if I compare myself with someone else, we end up comparing ourselves down. And so if I actually thought, let's say your case, that day that you were on that reserve and those 3 kids were following you and you were as happy as a clam in sand, you weren't looking and going, oh, I really wish that I was somewhere else, or I really wish that I could put this on Instagram, or this would be a lot better if I was a millionaire. Like you had your own kind of wealth that day. And there's something about, again, when we compare our stories, then someone else's will always seem more sparkly and ours will seem more lackluster. And sometimes better just not to compare it.
Yeah. Turn it off.
Anyways, I love your story. I think it captures so much of what we're speaking about. Why? Because you valued kids. You valued kids on the periphery of life, kind of kids that nobody else knew or wanted. You were willing to go to them. Whatever else, we could pick it apart a little bit, but I mean, you can see, and when we're living according to our deeply held values, whatever our own deeply held values are, when we're living consistently with them, there is a happiness there and a meaningfulness. Brene Brown says regret is the emotion that we feel when we're not living up to our own. And so the same guy that's there is the same guy, Joby, you're the same guy today. And to think, what were the values that drove that? I think those things, I can see them. They're all still in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the exile. I'm not a kid, but I'm the person on the periphery now that you were willing to go to.
Obi-Wan Kenobi out in the desert.
I don't know what Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That was my nickname in school, Joby-Wan.
Oh, yes. I think I've heard that before. And also on that Star Wars TV show on Obi-Wan, that's worth watching.
Yeah. Have you seen Dune?
Yes, I have.
Oh, what an incredible hero journey, right?
But in some ways, but also what you're saying, Obi-Wan is the guy that lost it. Remember, he lost his hope. He even says, I'm not that man anymore.
Yeah.
And building the Jedi Force, it's all went bad. And the guy that he trained led it. And so that's why he is incognito. He's got no big hope until someone says, hey, we really need your help. And he said, I am not the man that you knew then. anyways, it's a great story in terms of not a kid that becomes a hero, but a hero that goes into the shadows
Mm.
and has to rediscover himself again.
Yeah.
I mean,
So there's hope for us old men.
We're not 16 anymore.
There's hope for us old boys.
I hope so. I don't see a single gray hair on your head. But I don't know if I consider you an old boy yet.
Yeah. I think that sometimes I think of this world, this experience we have on Earth. I imagine myself buying a ticket to this experience. I'm like, if this isn't biblical at all, this isn't Christianity, but if we have lived before,
yeah,
and if this whole thing is bigger than we actually think, and when we die, we do go somewhere that we maybe have been before, for instance, and we got an opportunity to feel pain, to feel pleasure, to feel struggle, to feel loneliness, because on the other side of this death, of this life, most likely there might not be those feelings. I've been sitting with that notion lately because it's made me enjoy this experience more on Earth, because I'm like, I mean, I have nothing to like solidify my idea, or to ground it. But if we had bought a ticket to this 70 or 80 year experience on this planet, where we get to have all these things, wouldn't it be awful to look back and say, dang,
yeah, I blew it.
I went on the cruise and I never got off when it stopped off at one of those countries.
Right.
I was too afraid to. I just stayed in my cabin.
I never went to the rail and smelled the sea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So like, it's like that Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man. Let's just say yes to more things and just suck the life out of it.
In philosophy, we call this a thought experiment. What you're doing, and they're actually could be really important. What if life was like this? And anyways, I think it's great. What are all the things that we wish we? Yeah. Why pay for the ticket and not enjoy it?
And if you know the ride's going to be over and it's okay on the other side, then we don't need to sweat so much about the hardship stuff. Like, I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my job. I'm not going to be able to make rent. All those things that we know we're not supposed to worry about. Maybe we need to just trick our minds and say, it's just a ride.
Maybe you're onto something. There you go. That first book is on its way.
It's just a ride.
All
right. It's great chatting with you again, Todd.
It is great to see you. Thank you for connecting with you, reconnecting with you. It's been marvelous for me, and I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate who you are. I love listening to your story.
Thanks. Well, it's great. It's great to connect with you again, Obi-Wan.
Watch it. If you haven't seen the 8 series, or 8 episodes?
Is it called Obi-Wan?
It's called Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
it's great.
Awesome.
You probably enjoy it more when your beard gets more white.
Yeah, I got lots of white up here. It's pretty silvery gray.
Yeah, it's actually great. I was pretty moved.
Awesome. Okay, love you, Todd.
Hey, love you too, Joby. Thanks, and again to people who I used to know from the past. This kind of way of connecting with those people too. So send my greetings to those folks.
Yeah, it's good to connect the dots again.
Okay, buddy.
All right, love you.
Okay, love you too. Bye bye.